Working with materials management in SAP S4HANA, then you already know the business partner concept is a total game changer. It completely flips the script on how we used to manage suppliers and customers. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to configure your suppliers using this powerful model. Let's master this thing. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the why behind the business partner model. Then, we'll look at how to give a BP its own unique identity with roles and numbers. After that, we'll dive into controlling the data, super important for quality. Then, we'll introduce a really cool concept called partner functions. And finally, we'll tie it all together with a real-world example to see it in action. All right, let's start at the very beginning. You know, before we jump into the how-to, it's so important to understand the why. Why did SAP make this massive shift in how we handle suppliers and customers? Let's get into the core reason for the business partner model. I'm willing to bet this question hits home for anyone who's worked in older SAP systems. You remember, right? You had a customer record for a company you sell things to, and then a completely different vendor record for that exact same company when you bought things from them. It was just a constant headache trying to keep all that data in sync. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the old kind of messy world of ECC, separate records, always worrying about data drift. But on the right, that's the S4HANA way. One central business partner record. It creates a single source of truth, which means, you guessed it, no more data inconsistencies, and way simpler data management. So to really nail the definition, a business partner, or BP, as you'll hear it called, is that single master record. Just think of it as the one-stop shop, the central hub for all the data on a company you do business with. Their name, their address, financial info, purchasing data. It doesn't matter if they're a supplier, a customer, or both. It's all in one place. Okay, so the concept makes sense, but how do we actually bring a BP to life in the system and give it a unique identity? Well, that's where roles and numbers come into play. The whole model really hangs on this idea of roles. A single business partner can wear a bunch of different hats. Is it a supplier, a customer, maybe just a general contact? The roles you assign to it are what define exactly what that partner can do in the system. Now, this is a really cool slide because it breaks down the key roles you'll use in procurement. Think of it like building blocks. Everyone starts with that general business partner role. That's for the basic stuff like name and address. Then, to handle the money side, you add the FI vendor role, which lives at the company code level. And finally, for all your purchasing activities, you add the supplier role at the purchasing org level. See? It's a really logical way to layer the data. Of course, every BP needs its own unique number, and you've got two main flavors here. Internal numbering is the easy route. The system just gives you the next number off the stack. External numbering puts you in the driver's seat. You type in the number you want, which is super useful if you're migrating data and need to keep your old supplier IDs. And setting this up is a pretty simple three-step dance. First, you define your pools of numbers. Second, you create a nice descriptive label for them, which SAP calls a grouping. And third, you just link that number pool to your label. So now when a user creates a new BP, all they have to do is pick a grouping, like domestic suppliers, and the system does the rest. Easy. All right, so we've created our BP, but how do we make sure the data going into it is any good? This brings us to a really critical topic, controlling the master data fields to guarantee quality and consistency from the get-go. This right here is where you get to be the boss of your data quality. For every single field on that business partner screen, you have these four options. You can hide it if you don't need it. You can make it display only to protect important info. You can make it a required field, which is key for capturing critical data, or you can just leave it optional. This is how you make sure your master data stays clean. Okay, now this slide is a big one. This is a huge takeaway and a really common trap. SAP best practice is super clear here. Pick a lane. You control your fields using either the new business partner settings or the classic ECC account group settings. If you try to do both, you're just asking for trouble and unpredictable results. Don't do it. So what happens if different settings are fighting with each other? Well, the system has a very clear pecking order, and this table makes it easy to see. The number one rule to remember: required entry is king. It wins every time. If any setting makes a field required, it's going to be required. Simple as that. After that, display always beats hide. It's a simple logic, but it's powerful. All right, let's level up. We've got the basics of the BP record down. Now we're going to get into one of its most powerful features, partner functions. This is how we can model those complex, real-world supplier relationships. So, what in the world is a partner function? Now, don't get this mixed up with the general BP role we just talked about. A partner function defines a specific job a partner does inside a single transaction. For any given purchase, who do we send the order to? Who ships the goods? Who sends the invoice? Each of those jobs is a partner function. And this shows some of the most common ones. You've got your main supplier, right? But maybe the PO needs to go to their sales office. That's your ordering address. Maybe the goods ship from a totally different warehouse. That's your goods supplier. And the invoice? That could come from corporate headquarters, the invoicing party. This is what lets you map how business actually works. And you know what the best part is? You don't have to over-engineer this. If your main supplier does it all, takes the order, ships the goods, sends the bill, then you don't have to set up any of these extra partner functions. You only use them for the exceptions. It keeps your master data nice and clean. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's make this real. For this last part, we're going to walk through a hands-on example to see exactly how you would configure and use a partner function to solve a really common business problem. So check out this classic scenario. We've got our main supplier, but their order processing center is a totally separate entity with its own partner number. Our goal is simple. Make sure every single purchase order we create automatically goes to that processing center, not to the main supplier's office. So how do we fix this? It's actually way easier than you might think. Assuming the ordering address function is all set up in your system, you just go right into the master data. You open up the master record for your main supplier, you pop over to the partner function section, you enter OA for the function, and then you put in the partner number for the order center. Hit save, and that's it. You've just taught the system about this special relationship. And the result? Pure automation. The very next time a buyer goes to create a purchase order for that main supplier, the system automatically pulls in the order processing center as the ordering address. No one has to remember to change anything, no mistakes are made. The system just handles it because we taught it how that supplier relationship really works. So let's tie this all together with a bow. The business partner model gives you that rock-solid single source of truth for your data. And on top of that, partner functions give you the amazing flexibility to map even the most complicated, real-world supplier relationships right into SAP. It's the best of both worlds, clean data and powerful flexibility. And that brings us to the end. But now the real question is for you. Start thinking about your own company's processes. Where do you have those suppliers with different shipping points or payment offices or freight forwarders? Now that you know how this works, how could you use partner functions to automate and simplify those relationships?